Well, what happened was this album was bootlegged, I guess, sometime in the late 90s. I don't know how or why. We're both mortified by this. So here we are with this brand new album that we're very, very proud of.
Well, we just actually done them and then just kept them, and I didn't exactly know what to do with them, really. But we, when I went back to visit them, I really liked them, and I thought it'd be good to do them now. No, it was definitely not intended to be a Black Sabbath album. It was a period when I done this with Glenn, when I just fancied actually doing something, having a mess around at home. And Glenn came over to my house, and we just sort of put some ideas down, basically.
Tony and I were making this project. I don't know what we were going to call it. We were just writing, as we often do. We were just writing for each other, really, at Tony's home. But no, this never was intended to be a Black Sabbath album.
Yeah, we were happy what we did, and I'd have liked to have done more, because we were getting rolling at that point. But I think it was after that is when we started doing the first Black Sabbath reunion tour. So it sort of held everything then. We
were into a headspace that was a little different. We always come up with different ideas every time we get together. At this particular time, we were into this very sort of classic rock melodic thing with extremely heavy riffs. The difference between, I guess, myself and Ozzy or Dio is that I wanted a different spin on what Tony was writing on the music, rather than maybe singing in a aggressive voice. I wanted it to spin off into something a little bit more melodic and soulful. So here we have what I consider to be a very melodic album from Tony and Glenn. The songwriting came about in Tony's home studio over a period of 2 weeks in August '96. And it was a very, very great time. I mean, when Tony and I get together, things happen very, very quickly. We're both, I guess we can call writing machines, so these 8 songs were written in Tony's home studio in a couple of weeks. I started off originally with Don Airey, and we were playing and just doing a lot of jazz stuff and some really interesting stuff, actually. And then we heard Glenn was coming to England. I can't remember how we got together now, whether Ralph, my management, spoke to him or what. Anyway, Glenn came over and we had a play about, and it was really good, really great fun, and we enjoyed it. So we carried on with it, and Glenn stayed over, and we just kept writing, really. Yeah, well, with Don Airey, as I said, Don Airey was involved from the off, and we were doing sort of a different project, really. We were just doing more jazz and bluesy stuff. And then when Glenn got involved, of course, then they materialised into doing more sort of songs and things, which really didn't require much keyboards. And Geoff Nicholls played on, I think, 1 or 2 parts of the album. For me, I think having Don play on the more classic rock orientated songs, especially with piano on Falls Through Me and Don't Drag the River, this was obviously set up for Don to play on, and my choice would have definitely been having Don, and a good friend of Tony's as well. Geoff Nicholls was brought in to add, I guess, more of the orchestrated parts of From Another World and things like that, more of the strings and maybe mellotrons. So they both added quite a lot to our project. Tony and I hadn't really seen a lot of each other after the 7 Star record until we both attended a music awards show in 1995. And funny enough, I was sitting next to Ozzy and Sharon, and Tony walked in, and we started talking about working together again from 1995. And a year later, of course, we started writing what is now called the DEP Sessions. So once again, Tony's been a lifelong friend, but every time we get together, things do happen. We did, Glenn and I did a show. Glenn was playing in Birmingham, in England, and he asked me if I'd come over and play one of the songs from the 7 Star, one of the blues songs. So I went over and I played that with him on stage, and that was the only thing we've done. But yes, he was a great friend. I really liked Glenn, and certainly now he's he's really got all his past behind him, you know, all his problems he had. He's fantastic now. I mean, he's always been a fantastic singer, but he's got his personal life really sorted, and he's very happy, and it's great to see him like it, you know. When we went out in LA a few weeks ago for dinner, and he was really together, really up, you know, for doing a lot more stuff. Yeah, I think using the Black Sabbath name definitely was a hindrance towards it, because it wasn't written as a Black Sabbath album. It was written as a solo project, and then of course when Glenn came in to sing, I mean, it threw a whole new light on it, and so it just wasn't supposed to be in a Black Sabbath album. It was pretty annoying that it did come out as you know, with a Black Sabbath mentioned, really.
I think Tony and I were very excited by this release. Initially, I think it's in history books now knows that this was going to be a Tony solo record, completely a Tony Iommi solo record. And I think Tony at the time was looking at having 3 singers on this album. I know Rob Halford's name was in the hat, and maybe Dio. But when I started doing the vocals, I think Tony dug what I was doing, and we just continued to write and record at a pretty fast pace. I'm very excited about the 7-star record. It was a good record, and I guess, you know, the problem for me, I guess Tony as well, was the fact that Warner's did probably want to release it under the Black Sabbath name, and it really wasn't. It was more a Tony solo record with myself singing on it. I think if we were going to do a Black Sabbath record, it probably would have been a little different. But looking back, I think the 7-star record does stand up and it definitely holds up on the sound and the song. So we're both excited by it.
Yeah, I did have one riff that. But I changed it, so for this DEP session now, it actually came out on a bootleg thing, but I've changed the riff now, so no.
I can't remember any extra tracks that we had laid down that aren't on the DEP sessions. I know we had written other stuff, and Tony comes up with a million riffs for me to write with. And there were other songs we were working on, but are there any more recorded things? I don't think so. Ralph Baker would know that.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think we could do, you know, we've talked about it, doing something together, and again, you know, doing another album, and I'd like to think we could do that and really get down to it, and I think it'd be good. I think it'd be very interesting.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Tony and I have unfinished business. You just have to wait and see, I think.
No, we haven't at the moment, because I've been on this tour. But we're hoping to, in the next month, to get together in England, and he's going to come over, and we're going to just see what happens.
For each of us, or together, or whatever, I think it's probably will happen. I mean, we just are really good friends, and we do really work well together. We have lots and lots of fun, and we're both from the Midlands, and we both really love each other. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and see what happens.
I'm finally glad we've been able to do something with it since it's come out, because I think Glenn is singing so bloody well, you know. He's a great vocalist, and it'd be great to see him, you know, back up there again, really.